Welcome back to the Nullified Take channel on YouTube, Instagram, and wherever you listen to your audio, podcasts. We're back to talk about Australian Survivor Week 7. That is right. I'm joined by my co-hosts for the season. And let's start off with a man who showed up to this podcast thinking that he needs to be ready to name Metallica bands one after the other. Kahuna, let the hair flow, my friend. How are you going?
Pastor of Muppets, Lord of Destruction. I think I'm capping out at 2.
Tom, you go. Taylor Swift bands right now.
Can I say Taylor Swift sucks ass and Shake It Off, Blank Space, Wildest Dreams, Out of the Woods, You Belong With Me.
I lost.
Love Story, Feel This. Look What You Made Me Do, Ready For It. She's just the worst artist.
Can you name songs that's outside of that one album though?
I named from 4 different albums just then. Mucky.
Oh, well, what's calling you out?
Yeah.
Listen, I would have lost immediately. If I had to do this. But, Kahuna, they say if you don't use it, you'll lose it. So I'm glad you've got the hair flowing tonight. You're ready for this podcast.
I'm giving Feras tonight. Like I noticed when he's got it slicked back. He's got it like me with the man bun most of the time. But every now and then when they do like a slow motion of him in the water or something, he's got it all flowing and I'm like
100%.
I'm gonna be like Feras, man.
Yeah, but be honest, you told us before you went live you needed to let Mark know who the real alpha was by showing him the hair you've got. Shots fired.
The reality is I had a shower before and I'm so precious. I don't like putting my hair up. Well, it's still a little bit damp. So now it's flowing. So that's not as cool as what I said before, but that's the reality.
Yeah. No, fair enough. Well, we've also got a man here who has an increasing man crush on Feras. I don't feel like you can top Kahuna, who's now, impersonating Feras on this podcast. But Tom, how are you doing?
I wouldn't say I got a man crush on him. I just, he's going to be a $500,000 very soon, and I really wanted to, get in as soon as possible. I don't want anyone else sliding in before me. So yeah, Feras,
boys. You want to be boys. Fair enough. Well, Tom, you've chosen a winning horse in this race so far, or potential winning horse in the race. He is a man who's completely lost his mind for someone that will not be winning the $500,000 this season. Mucky. I had so many people hitting me up in the DMs in the last week asking, when's the full album coming out? I feel like not only have you lost your mind, but everybody who listens to this podcast has lost their mind listening to whatever that was last week, and they want more, Mucky. I don't know if we should be enabling you.
Yeah, look, it's a tricky one, right? Because I am a once in a blue moon kind of guy, but it kind of seems like people need it now, right? But we'll just have to wait and see if there will be a full album someday.
Yeah, well, you'll have to wait and see. The problem is
we got 2, right? He's not that far off an EP or something. He could probably put another 3 or 4 songs together.
Listen, he's got the Sneaky Steve song from last season. He's got the Aileen song.
Did someone just say, Sneaky Steve, baby! With your boy Sneaky Steve! All time, every day, Sneaky Steve! Where's Steve? Who's Steve? What Steve? A Sneaky Steve! That's right. I've still got the moves. I've still got Sneaky Steve, my number one man.
Mucky gives the people what they want, Chris. He knows what the audience is craving for, and it's more Mucky songs.
He's a man. He's a man for the people. What can we say? Mucky is a man of the people. And I don't even know where I was going with this, but Mucky has got a Sneaky Steve top out immediately here. For those who don't know, he's got the t-shirt to prove he is a fan of Sneaky Steve. But let's say hello to people here in the live. We've got many people that are jumping in early on here. Scott, all the way from the US, saying arguably the strangest and most confusing season of any Survivor I've ever seen, and therefore perhaps the best. A lot of us said that this could be a potential Gabon level season. I've got a lot of thoughts. Crystal saying, haven't you watched Gabon? That's kind of what we're comparing it to here, Tom. And I know, Tom, you're similar to me. You're a big fan of Gabon. Can this potentially top Gabon? Can it be better than the classic itself?
Oh, it's tough. I feel like sometimes I feel like the players in this season, it's not a criticism at all, but I feel like some of the moves they're making is to ensure maybe Channel 10 keep casting fans and don't go back to the well of just recruiting, you know? Like it's almost like they're sacrificing their game for the entertainment factor. Whereas Gabon,
And I appreciate it.
yeah, I appreciate it too. 100%,
As someone who
yeah.
wants to get on the show, I appreciate it. Thank you, Caroline. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Feras. Thank you, Kirby. Thank you, everybody that has played this season and have continued to make it a very entertaining season, because I feel like the hit that this season has been, with so many people coming in that are not celebrities or B-list celebrities like we've had in the past in Australian Survivor. Surely, Mucky, we're turning a corner here on Australian Survivor, where finally the producers would probably look at this season and say, maybe we do need just more normal people on the show, not necessarily celebrities or Instagram influencers to go and come and play the show, because they're keeping everybody on their toes. We're late game here and things are fluid.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. But I feel like there's two sides to the coin, right? Because you can get some really great recruits, like David Gannett, Matt Rogers were recruits, and they're like really great players. One of them's even the best player of all time, right? And but on the other hand,
we would forget Matt Rogers, right?
Yeah, exactly. But if you look at the last couple of seasons, right, Brands versus Brawn, like George and Haley pretty much ran that whole show. And then there was Blood versus Water, where there wasn't as many fans on the show, and it was kind of a dud. Then Heroes vs Villains, once again, the biggest fan in George dominates the season, and then there was great TV. And then once again for this season, a lot more fans, and it is great TV, right? So sometimes with recruits, it is a hit or miss. Like even Gabe has brought up here, Kirby is a recruit, and Kirby's even said she's not really that big fan of the show, but she's playing amazingly, right? So it really depends. Like with recruits, it's either hit or miss. Sometimes you're willing to get recruits that will play hard, but the other recruits won't, right? So, But yeah, in terms of the future of Survivor, I do agree it's going to be turning a massive corner into getting more and more fans on the show. I just hope that it doesn't turn into American Survivor with just a bunch of try hard to this stuff. So, nerds, so, yeah.
Let me just quickly say hello to a few more people here. So Christoph here says, I love this season, and actually Caroline could make this move work. Execution was poor and a fatal mistake. That there was no sense for her to play it for Mark. It would make more sense. Since we're bringing it up, it's hard not to talk about everything that happened, and obviously the Caroline move is the most fresh in everybody's mind, at least. So I do want to talk about the Caroline move a little bit here. In my mind, I feel like, again, what you said earlier, Tom, I know you're not a fan of Caroline. I have been a fan, and I continue to be a fan of Caroline, because I've seen people online say, obviously Mark was the wrong choice, which feels like lazy Survivor. When we talk about armchair critics, that is a typical Survivor armchair critic comment to make, because what she tried to do in that moment, if she pulls it off, yes, she's that little bit off, but if she pulls it off, potentially could be a winning move, taking out the second biggest threat in the game, and Feras just behind Kirby at this moment. And she's at least making a move. Like last season, we were frustrated. I even forgot the name of some of the players who made it to the final tribal council because they were so boring and they were just listening to George the whole season. They didn't play their own game. This season, Caroline's like, I'm going to go out swinging. I'm going to try and make a move. Yes, the execution was slightly off, but, bring Caroline back ahead of 90% of the people that have played this game, because at least with her, I know she's going to go out there and she's going to try and make a move, Tom.
Yeah, I mean, I just find it funny how Feras was so far ahead of her in that round that he's like, oh, she's played an idol on someone that I wasn't expecting. I'm still not going to play my idol because I know exactly where all the votes are going.
Was he though?
I think so. I wish Tobias was there to be like, loser, right in Caroline's face.
He was shocked by the idol play. He didn't see the idol play coming though.
Yeah,
so
no,
was he really ahead?
No, he was shocked. I think he was shocked about how bad it was.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, when you say it could have been a good move, I think at that point, as soon as Caroline plays her idol, if Feras is worried at all, he plays his. He had his idol in his pocket. There's no way Caroline ever could have made that work with Feras acting after her. It's like in
that
poker,
is a fair call.
The first person to make a move, you always have the advantage by answering, right? By knowing what the other person has done first. As soon as Caroline played it, if there was any danger, if Feras went, oh crap, we voted for Kitty, pull my idol out. It's done. it could have worked if she didn't play on Feras. If she tried for Raymond, but then it's like, was it even worth it? Like, is he a big enough target to use your idol on Mark, flip it all around, not tell anyone about it, and then do it on Ray? Because it would never have worked on Feras. Feras had that protection where as soon as it went awry, done.
To be fair,
that's a good call. But I want to say again, we're watching an edited show. We know Feras has got an idol. Feras has never shown anybody the idol. Like, he's just said he's got an idol, which is great. It's created doubt in people's minds and potentially wouldn't have worked. I agree with you. He definitely would have played the idol. The fact that he didn't play the idol told me that they got it wrong, because if he was nervous, he would have played it. Yeah. And again, he would have been a step ahead of her in that moment. But I don't blame her for trying at least to take out one of the top two threats in the game here. There's just been times where they haven't had the power to make a move until this point, up until now. Yes, Tom?
I was going to say, to be fair, I reckon it actually would have been really smart to target Raymond, because what you do is you solidify that alliance with Mark and Kitty, and then it's 3 against
the numbers.
Feras and Kirby. Doesn't matter if one of them wins, you vote the other one out. And then if in the next tribal, you hope that one of your 3 can actually pull a win up against Kirby. I don't know how Kirby's beasting all these challenge. I mean, there's not really any like challenge beasts left in the game. They're all kind of like challenge duds, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And something that I just want to bring up as well. I know we talked about it last week a little bit, but just in terms of Caroline and Kitty's agency, where we talked about with the winner move, for example, they're at the bottom of the Titans, but then they rose to the top of Feras, and then they immediately flip on him, right? And then it was same with the Jaden vote. Kitty goes, okay, I'm with the Titans. I'm just going to flip to the bottom. I feel like they keep having a chance to gain agency, but they keep like going backwards instead of forwards. And I agree. At least she did try making a move, but potentially try and make the move the tribal before that.
Yeah, but Kuna, like, we're so results focused. Like, she tried something, is what I'm trying to get at. So, like,
when she was contemplating it, I was like, can these people not do maths? In my head, I was like, what is going on? There's 3 of you and there's 3 of them. If you take out one of yours, like whatever it is, like either way, I'm like, the maths isn't going to work on that. And then, as I said, like, I think she could have done something with it, but it needed a lot more like variations on what she ended up on. Plan went so far off track.
Yeah,
where it would have worked.
Again, let me play devil's advocate here for Caroline's move. Caroline's #1 fan on the podcast over here, Chris, on this podcast. But, again, Mucky just mentioned that this season has been so fluid. People have jumped back and forth. So it got to a point where even Caroline's right-hand person in Kitty has not been truthful to her this whole season. Who does she trust? Who does she talk to prior to this move? If she did talk to Mark, there was an opportunity here. Like Mark said to her as they left Tribal Council, you should have told me, because he was in on the plan. But he's also betrayed her before. She's betrayed him before. So I feel like, again, such a easy comment to make for fans to say, horrible move, should never have done it. She should have just stayed, kept the idol for herself for the next round, then played it on herself, secure some safety. I applaud the fact that she's trying to play the game. I would much rather have 20 Carolines come into next season trying to play the game than someone that just sits back and gets carried to the end, like Blood Money said, to be a layup. Can you imagine Tom on the season with 19 other Carolines?
I think I wouldn't survive. I'd disappear one day and be like, oh, wasn't there like that guy Tom on the tribe? Where'd he go? Just disappeared.
He's in the spy shack. He's in the Tom shack.
Just ran into the ocean. I just kept swimming.
All right. Tom, how about this? Who would you rather be?
Can I just say, Caroline?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. After you can.
No, you already asked.
Sorry. All right, Tom, who would you rather be on a season with 19 Taras or 19 Carolines?
Tough question.
I think I slightly prefer Tara's personality more. It's just she was so unbelievably bad at the game. It was mind-numbing. I think I'd prefer 19 Taras, and they'd probably give me the win. They'd only think about voting me out at around final 5. Because they don't know how to play the game. So that's a big
tough. That's tough. I do want to say hello to a few more people here in the live. So Gabe is in the live as well, saying this season is absolutely messy, really fun to watch. Richard, all the way from South Africa, saying Kahuna looking like Feras when he hits the water. That is the look that Kahuna went for. Gabe also said, did you all see the open casting call again for Australian Survivor? Tom hit me up this week and he said, Chris, is that us? Basically, is the message I got. So it may be us, Tom.
I lost my mind.
I've lost my mind, guys.
Christoph says, can someone who is not an AU citizen apply? Yes, if they're an AU resident. But if you're not an AU citizen or resident, you can't apply. That's the criteria that they've put on. Doesn't mean that Mucky won't try.
You just get rejected.
The beefless cow with some really deep, insightful thoughts here early on in the live for us all to take in. And it's a good point, beefless cow. I do agree.
I think that's just Raymond's thought process.
They should have like little dots in front of above him that they put in every time he thinks out there. Quite hilarious. He's kind of gone back in his shell a little bit this week after one big move. Blood Money saying, do you see Feras and Kirby in the final two heading into the final week? That, I believe, is a fan's dream made in heaven, probably for most. But I still have to believe that if Kirby makes a final, she beats anyone right now. Like if she gets there, she's the biggest threat. Everybody's targeting her. She's starting to win immunities. And that's kind of been the story here of this week, Kahuna, is that, Alex calls Kirby out on the way out and says, this person here, if you don't take them out, they're getting my vote. They're the biggest threat. And suddenly everybody is now aware of Kirby's game. We all sort of mentioned that Kirby was the person that we thought would win the season last week. But now that the cat's out of the bag and people know that she's the one that they need to target, do you think Kirby's got the legs to get to the final? Do you think she can still get there?
First of all, I think it's remarkable that Alex's biggest impact on the game is after he left, right? He dropped a grenade, and then the flow-on effect is Kirby scrambling. She's paranoid. She's got a massive target on her back, which in reality, everyone should have known that already, right? Like
Alex is a game changer.
Who needed Alex to go? Well, he is, because then I also blame Alex for Caroline's misstep. I think big move-itis that people have been saying is because Alex was like, Kirby's the resume god. She's the best. She's going to win this game. People need to wake up and do something and realize. And Caroline's like, I got to do something. Let's throw some shit at the wall and see what sticks, and throw wild haymakers and hope for something for the best. But it's a tough. Can I just put a disclaimer on my thing on Caroline before? Even though she missed, and I do think it was the wrong move, I don't give her the negative credit. I don't blame her for it. I think that one of the reasons for it is because of the amazing, weird, revolutionary, completely unique game we're seeing from Kirby and Feras. This friendship, rivalry, frenemy thing that's just completely back and forth the entire season has meant that someone like Caroline completely misreads what's going on with them, because there's no way you can know, are these two going to be on my side? Are they going to turn each other? Surely they would bite each other's heads off, because that's what they've been doing all season. But you just can't tell from 1 second to the next if they're going to be all of a sudden super tight and like brother and sister and laughing and having fun to the point where Alex gets jealous, or where they're actually sniping at each other and taking out each other's right-hand man and all that sort of thing. So the fact that they've done this really unique approach to the game has stuffed it up for everyone else to be able to predict and plan and rely on those talks that they've had, because it's just so... Who knows what's going to happen?
Thank you for admitting that I was right, that it's very difficult for her to have the right read in that moment.
It was wrong, but it's not her fault that it was wrong. It's like Mark as well. Mark has played not played a bad game, but he's always on the wrong end of things, not necessarily because of his fault or bad moves that he's making. It's just such a weird game that everyone's saying, back and forth rivalries, back and forth alliances, flips, completely.
It's just fluid, but it's been fluid the whole season. I want to go back to the Kirby comment, and can she make it to the end? Gabe says for Kirby to match, Kirby to get there, she'll have to match or beat the all-time Survivor record in immunity wins, which would mean she would be the outright legend of legends. If she does end up getting to the end of this point, Mucky, she wins the show, she beats the record for immunities, or even just ties the record, somehow convinces Feras not to take her out. Feras gets snowed by this. I mean, Kirby, whatever she's got, I wish I could bottle it and use it for when I go out to Survivor, because she gaslights everyone, Feras included. She gaslights the hell out of him, saying, I'd rather sit next to you. I want to beat the best. Obviously she does, because if she gets there, she's had a couple of moves on Feras, but Feras actually seems to believe at this point, and I don't know if he does, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but the editor's making it look like he's entertaining it to take her to the end. So if she does gaslight Feras, go to the end, and he takes a whiff, maybe she survives somehow and she gets there. Surely this would be the best win we've ever seen on Australian Survivor. Like, her road to the end is very complex right now.
Yeah, I would like, I mean, I've said it in multiple podcasts before where I feel like Kirby is like Kageyan Tony in terms of the next move. I've even told Kirby this as well. I said to DM, it's like a lot of times I disagree with what she's doing, but then she somehow pulls it out and changes it in her favor. And it's just remarkable to see. It's great to see. So,
yeah.
I mean,
either way, most Survivor players would know that if Mucky disagrees with the moves that they're making, they're probably on the right track, right? They're probably destined to go to the end and win this thing. So I feel like she probably looked at it as a compliment. But, you know, someone that's taken a very long time to even like admit that Kirby's got some sort of game is Tom. So I'm very curious about Tom's opinion. Like, you know, I know it's difficult. I know it's difficult, Tom, to give a woman credit on this podcast. You know, if she was to go out there and win this season, where would she rank, mate? And do you think it's possible? Do you think that she can get one over the rest, or especially Feras? Because I feel like her road to the end is Feras at this point. Feras is the one that's either going to open up the gates for her or close it in front of her. And if he takes her out, he's the clear winner. But does he see the move at this point? I know you're saying Feras is going to win a half mil. So that to me kind of feels like you think that Feras is onto her and he's going to snuff her torch before the end here. And he's not going to allow her to gaslight him until the end.
I'm offended that you'd say I'd never support a woman when I'm Sarah Teleki's biggest fan.
I'm just, no. I said Kirby. I said Kirby. And these podcasts and lives are recorded, so people can pull up the receipts on the Mad Smack you spoke about Kirby in the early parts of the season. So don't try and twist my words here. This is not Survivor. You can't twist my words.
I'd like to appreciate any of her moves this week, but it was so hard to like her when, like, after Rihanna got out and she was like, oh no, you voted out my number one ally. You're all such terrible people. I'm like, what have you been doing this entire game? Like, if she was doing that to me, I would just go.
She wasn't like serious about it. She was more like kind of joking and real passive about how she attacked it.
No, she was doing the, I'm going to say it like a jokey voice, but I actually mean it voice, you know? And I was like,
I didn't pick up that. I didn't get that, but
no, she was definitely doing that. I was like, oh my gosh, just go over there for a bit, talk to a tree, complain to a tree, and then come back. Okay. That's how I felt.
Oh man. Jonathan says, I remember Kirby being put in the first Rebel Boot spot in the preseason by some people.
That was me.
Hey, she was. I think even I said there's a possibility here. I can't remember who said it. Was it us? Me and Kahuna as well? Was it just you, Monkey?
I think I was down on it. I was low. I was low on her.
I definitely said she was the first vote. That was definitely my official notes on it. Yeah.
No, I said Garrick.
That's right.
You did.
Good to say Garrick. Yeah.
You did. I feel like it was me and Mucky that did that. And listen, I love being wrong. And I'm wrong more often than not, especially when it comes to first impressions of players. So I hear you on that. And apparently Caroline from Titans, also we were low on. So I feel like our bias, not just Tom's bias, is showing for all the women on Survivor, not just like, you know, putting it too high from the start. Because Tom wasn't even on that podcast.
Yeah, that's how good I am. That's how good I am at getting into alliances. Look at this alliance I've weaved my way into. Last year, I was one of you people in the chat being like, oh yeah, I really like, who was in the season last season? I really like Liz. I think Liz is gonna win. Now look at me. Bam.
No, you were a George fanboy last season. The only thing we heard was George the whole time. Every time Tom was
you're talking about Char, dude.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're mixing up Char with Tom. Tom had my back. He was with Sneaky Steve. He was with Rogue, and that's why Tom's on this podcast.
Yeah. Mucky's got a memory like an elephant. He does not forget. when it comes to these kind of things.
When it comes to fishermen like Tom, because let's not forget as well with Gabe's comment, Tom, we also have video evidence of you with your idol Lee as well, because you're the biggest Lee fan of Survivor UK. So you better not stay misogynistic like him.
Can we look at JGS? Why do you have the worst YouTube name ever? JGS3MM.
Take shots at his name.
Well, I mean, work on your YouTube name, but I look at my
I feel like where was Tom's hands when this comment came in? Like, do we know that this is not Tom on the back end there chatting and saying, yeah, totally agree with Tom? I don't know.
Say something else nice, JG. I'll just keep my hands up here for now, you know?
Yeah, listen, I think that, like, who did we just have drop in? Frank, welcome to the live, saying Kirby, only way to end is for Feras to take her or win her way to the end. She is everyone's primary target. Feras will wear his idol of Kirby if Kirby loses next and play his idol for Kirby. Well, that's a big call if he plays it for Kirby. And it's interesting because we're now in a situation where they're running out of numbers, and it is a numbers game. But how far at this point does Feras take Kirby into this game? Because, like I said, you know, Feras is a big character this season. He's someone that has definitely, the edit has shown us his game more so than a lot of other players. That would definitely say that I definitely say there's credibility that he could win this season. But if Feras, Maki, does go to the end here with Kirby, if he is the reason Kirby makes the end and he loses, do we put him up there with Colby Donaldson for taking Tina to the end and then losing to Tina? Because Tina was the obvious win. Does Feras suddenly become, I hate saying this, but one of the players that have made the biggest mistakes in Survivor history if he does go to the end with Kirby here? Because I feel like it's so obvious right now Kirby wins if she gets there.
Yeah, I think that's really hard because, you know, there's even a conversation between Feras and Kirby where both of them have made moves together, right? But I just think Kirby's had potentially more control of the game than Feras has. But, you know, let's not forget, there's still one more non-elimination left, right? Because there's always two pre-merge, one post-merge, right? So something drastic could change. Maybe they vote off it like a jury member. Maybe there's some other new non-elimination twist that we haven't seen. And yeah, exactly. We had the final four non-elim last. No, it was the final five non-elim, I believe. Oh no, because Matt won the extra vote. Never mind. So yeah, final four non-elim.
Don't argue with Jonathan.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Jonathan. I'm sorry.
Jonathan,
how dare I go against you, Jonathan? I'm sorry. Please forgive me.
He's our stat man. He knows it.
He knows the stuff. But yeah, so maybe Feras wins out on that non-elim, and that's how he sways the jury to his favor.
Like this, Gabe,
so
my personal rule is to play for the final three. If it becomes a final two, adapt. I agree. You've got to plan for final three, and if it's final two, whatever, adapt at that point.
I'm sorry, guys.
Sorry,
I want to put my hands down. So can we acknowledge Jay sent a message in the chat, and my hands are up here. I've got the receipt.
We should have just ignored. We should have just deleted that comment and let Tom keep his hands behind his head the whole podcast. That would have been
thank you very
meme
much,
worthy.
Jay. This is for you, Jay. These are for you.
No. Also, I was just going to say, I think it's going to be really tight at the end if it's a final, because I think the move is take out Kirby at final four, and if it's a final two, he'll probably have like Raymond and Caroline or something at the end, right? You know, so so I think that's the move personally.
That's what I would do.
So I do want to read a couple more comments.
I have a caveat on Kirby winning.
So yeah, go for it.
I was just going to say, you said Kirby walks. If Feras takes Kirby, massive mistake, he loses to Kirby.
Yep.
I have a small caveat if Kirby takes Feras. I think if either of them take either of them, I would go, that was a dumb move. You shouldn't have taken Feras. Like, I think she's genuine, and it's one of those rare people that mean it when they say, I want to beat the best. I think that's stupid. Like, beat him by knocking him out before that point. That's how you beat someone in this game, right? You take them out, and then you can say, I did beat him three eliminations ago or whatever. You're not sitting at tribal council with him and giving him that chance. I dominated so much, he's not even sitting here. That's how you beat him. I think giving him that opportunity is a mistake for Kirby. She probably would still win it, but for me, I would go, that was a dumb move. Like, don't take Feras. Sit next to the GOAT. Sit next to Raymond. Sit next to Caroline. Sit next to someone that you absolutely wipe the floor with, and don't even give that chance or opportunity. I understand the motivation of
I
it looks
disagree.
better beating Feras, but I'm
Yeah.
like, beat him. It looks better if you beat him 3 weeks ago, you know?
I disagree. I think that Kirby knows that currently, resume-wise, she is so far ahead in the game that it does not matter who she sits next to. But she needs Feras in the game to be someone that people are still worried about as well, so that she's not the only big target left in the game. So, taking him deeper into the game, if he's willing to sit next to her and potentially, win one of those endurance challenges that she hasn't been good at, but Feras also hasn't been good at them, then maybe that's a way for her to get to the end. She doesn't have Ree there, who was the person she thought would take her if it comes down to an endurance challenge. So I don't agree. I don't mark down Yul for beating Ozzy. I don't mark down Wendell for beating Dom. In fact, those wins are even more impressive because they beat really good, I guess, opposition in the end. But then again, I also don't really, if I have to be fair to Feras, I don't really rate Dom down or Ozzy down for losing against two very strong winners. So maybe it wouldn't be as bad as I first mentioned with the Tina and Colby situation. I do want to bring up a couple comments here. So Frank says here, Feras' resume has a strong moves, but being the only reason she could make it, if he doesn't take her, Feras is next out. Mutually beneficial at this point. I agree. Gabe says Feras has to take Kirby to the final four. If not, they go out back to back. And that's kind of what I got to. I think they kind of need each other. They're in a bad spot where it's kind of like this mutually beneficial frenemy brother-sister relationship right now that they both are struggling to break away from. Charles is saying, Caroline for the win. I'm Chadu.
Hey,
Chadu, welcome back. Using his full name here, Charles Biddle, is a big fan of Caroline, similar to myself. Is wanting Caroline to get into the end and win this. Totally with you there, Chadu. Gabe is saying, I think that the beat best mentality comes from Kirby's footy career. That's bad because it doesn't work in Survivor. Not always, unless you've got Kirby's game. I think she's very self-aware.
Best.
Yeah. Christoph says, haven't I said in the PRV podcast, don't sleep on Caroline? Totally true. Frank is saying Kirby is the best, so she can take Feras. Best social, challenge, and strategic. Feras needs to keep Kirby because Feras may not be able to win this his way here. No one else have won challenges. I totally agree. I think there's many a times where Kirby can point out where she's been ahead of Feras. Like the only thing that Feras mentioned in this last episode was, remember when I took out your Ride or Die Alliance member Charles in the game? And I was like, what? Charles and Kirby was that close? You actually had a move on Kirby that moment? No, I feel like she has got a couple of key people that she took out where he's only got Ree at this point.
Poor Charles, man. Even the friendship got edited out. He didn't even get that.
We didn't even get to see how close Kirby and Charles was. I was like, now I need to see more of this friendship between Kirby and Charles that we were deprived of this whole season.
Doesn't that show how amazing Kirby is? When you look at Charles, you look at Val, you look at Ree, you look at all these people, they're just so worldly different. You wouldn't think that the common denominator between all of them is this one character that's playing the ultimate social game. It's amazing.
Amazing. And not just social, strategic. She's moving at the right time. She, again, I feel like understood her threat level throughout the game very well. She even said this. I've not told anyone my AFL career. I haven't told people that I've played AFL. I've kept sort of myself from winning any immunities. I haven't gone all out until this point. But now that I'm the biggest threat, I have to turn it up. And she goes back to back, wins it when it matters. And again, that is BMT. That is big match temperament. She's got it. Other people potentially in the same situation won't have it. So I'm very impressed by what I've seen. Like, I know we've spoken about Kirby a lot and we've given her a lot of praise. I think it's well deserved. But I want to talk a little bit about some of the other fun moments that we had in this week. So let's talk a little bit about Alex. We've spoken about Alex and his game and potentially someone that could be a threat going into the end because he could win a lot of things here. Mucky, who would have thought that the only thing that he would win at the end would be all these different reward challenges, not necessarily immunity challenges, and he makes one of the most bizarre choices this week by taking a bunch of people with him when he's trying to get this boys alliance. He ends up taking Caroline, Kitty, and Kirby on this reward.
I thought you were going to say the bizarre thing was the shaving, because that was
very bizarre.
Yeah, like watching him shave near his nipple, I was on the edge of my seat. I was like, "Oh my god, is it going to cut his nipple off?" No, but the most funniest part about this whole reward was he did exactly what I would have done, and that's just stuff my face with the lasagna and then be too sick to talk any strategy. Like he's just there completely.
Did he think a clue was in the lasagna? An idol was in the lasagna or something? Because he was going hard, man.
Yeah. But like the funniest part is like Kirby's like trying to give him a fake plan, and it just cuts to him, and he just looks like a zombie. Like he's just clearly not in it. He's got to throw up any second. So, I love Alex. You know, definitely a really entertaining character this season, and like I feel like he did everything he could. Like, is he the smartest tool in the toolbox? No, but like he used all the tools he could have to try and switch things up, but unfortunately, as Gabe says here, I gave him the kiss of death. Like literally, I picked Eileen and Jaden. They got back to back in the second episode of the week, and then I say it's Alex, and he literally goes in the first episode of this week. Like that's why I've lost my mind.
Poetic, so poetic. On this podcast, you know, Mucky calls it as he sees it every single time. Whatever Mucky says, the exact opposite happens on Australian Survivor. This is why we love his...
Mucky? They'll go out next week.
Who are you giving it?
Kirby.
Kirby.
Kirby gonna win. We're gonna get Raymond and Caroline final two, and Raymond's gonna win.
That's his true feeling. So now Raymond and Caroline is on the
can't win now.
Raymond and Caroline are the final two guys.
Yeah, but what a weird moment with Alex shaving, trying to like, you know, get this alliance talk going, trying to smoosh the girls over, and it just went down like a lead balloon. It just did not work for him. They weren't interested at all. And on top of that, Tom, he ends up eating too much lasagna, which ends up costing him the endurance challenge when he was like, you know, it was impressive seeing him nearly fall into the water and sort of like the Undertaker in WWE rise back up. But then ultimately the lasagna did end up taking him down. You know, that was the killer. Who would have known that his Achilles heel would have been lasagna? What would be your Achilles heel if you were to go out there? What food would also make you, I guess, weak, you know, in the stomach if you had to go and if you were tempted by it?
Well, you might not believe this, but my favorite food in the world is actually plain white rice. Like, in all genuineness, it is 100% true. I've taken so many photos of myself having plain white rice for lunch or whatever, that I would love to put in my Survivor audition, but I don't know if it's going to make the cut, unfortunately.
Don't do it, please, because if we do play in the same season, I feel like they would switch us away from rice to something disgusting because you love rice so much. They'd be like, we have to make it bad for everybody, and Tom just loves his white rice too much.
No, I just love it, like being like, oh yeah, I wish we had cheeseburgers too, and I'm like, yummy, you know, yeah, like I froth the rice. So no food can tempt me. The only thing that would tempt me is if JLP was like, all right, if you get off the perch right now, you get to listen to She Bangs by Ricky Martin on this iPod Nano, and I'd be like,
jumping.
I'd be there in a second, you know. I need to listen to music. That's going to be tough without music out there. You know?
I like that you said iPod Nano as well.
Yeah,
we got this thing from 15 years ago.
Well, it's nostalgia. That was my first iPod, you know.
Brendan, yes, we did start a little bit earlier tonight. I'm the reason. I'm the one that got us to start early because I've got to get up really early tomorrow. So I'm like, we need to move it forward an hour for tomorrow. But hopefully we'll be back on the normal time slot for next week. Apologies for those that were waiting for us to start a little bit later than usual. I think it's worth going back and checking out what we've discussed so far. There's been some highlights already and some fun moments, I do think. But I'm biased because I'm on the podcast. So you go check it out. Let us know if that is true. Okay, so we spoke a little bit about Alex. We spoke about him coming back and obviously, doing pretty well here to stay in the challenge, but ultimately does not end up winning the immunity, with Rhea again winning for the third time this season. She is the proper person, the proper threat going into the next level here or the next round. But that leaves Alex wide open, and Alex ultimately does get taken out. I do feel like, Kahuna, when we spoke about why did Feras turn his back so quickly on Alex on the game, and we couldn't understand it, the edit kind of hid a little bit of Alex's game. I feel like where Alex, when he is frazzled, he comes across as quite I don't know if desperate is the right word, but quite forceful in the way that he tries and approaches people and tries to get them online. And that kind of showed us, even going into the tribal council, I thought it was a great moment, but it wasn't probably a good look for him going as hard as he did, because he burned everyone. He burned Feras, he burned Kirby, and then he's like, but you guys need to vote with me. But he basically said, all of you guys are not going to win, but I need your vote, So not a great way to ingratiate yourself. So maybe that showed us a little bit of why Feras said in the live, after the season, he'd be happy to talk about why he turned his back on Alex. Maybe we got to see a little bit more of a glimpse of his social and strategic play.
Yeah, just like zero chill, no subtlety. And we saw hints of it in the reward. Like someone mentioned before, I think Jonathan said Alex asking Mark who to take on the reward and then not listen to him at all. Right. And not realizing, having that conversation with Kirby, like the way he approached it is just so full on in her face. She was just not taking any of it. And then again, backing it up in tribal council, just throwing your entire game. Like Feras even said, like, it's crazy that I was genuinely going to work with you and then you strong-armed me. It's not a good idea to put people in a corner to force them to do what they do, especially when they have options. So Alex is right in that Kirby is the biggest threat. He just like did it in the most ham-fisted wrong way possible. Like, yes, your message is correct, but you just went and like smeared it in shit on the wall and hope that people pay attention to it. Like, that's not how you get people on side. And you're right, ingratiating yourself into others is what, like Kirby said, the difference between me and you, and that is highlighting it. Kirby is in everyone's best friend. Somehow, despite her strategy, despite taking people out, everyone loves her, everyone trusts her. Well, don't trust her for the game, but they like her. Whereas Alex is the complete opposite, just putting everyone offside, including Kirby, who is good at relationships and did not see any point in re-establishing that with Alex at all. She's like, I don't care. I'm not even going to keep it as a fake one to keep me like safe.
Staying real on this one.
Well, I just want to jump on top of that. Sometimes you've got to throw shit around and see whose mouths are wide open, right? Because like when you're in that spot, like you really just have to say who's
that old saying,
right? That old saying.
That one that everybody uses.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like you're literally on the bottom. You're going home. There's nothing really more else you can do at this point. You might as well just throw it all out there, because it's a classic saying. Would you rather go out because you're swinging too hard, or would you rather go out because
I agree.
Enough,
it's true, but how? It's the how, right? It's not the what. It's not the why. He did the right thing to be able to highlight Kirby. And if you're on the bottom and you're desperate, you're going home, absolutely swing for the fences. But how he did it threw Feras off. Like, if Feras was right and he was going to vote with him, Kirby was going to go home, or whatever it is. But he made Feras backflip on his own thing, like with his words. Like,
because he probably Feras knew in that moment that, like, listen, as soon as Kirby's gone, who's he turning on next? Where's he gonna direct this energy that he has right now about who's got the best resume in the game, who we should take out next? And Feras probably saw this as a threat to his own game as well. I want to say hello to Mark in the live. He says, "Hey boys, love Kahuna's hair. Kahuna have his hair like that for two reasons. Firstly, to make you jealous, and secondly, because he had to come into this podcast referencing Metallica bands, and he went up against Tom for Taylor Swift songs. Unfortunately, spoiler alert here, Tom's phenomenal knowledge of Taylor Swift far outweighed anything that Kuna had up his sleeve coming into this podcast.
I genuinely hate Taylor Swift's music as well. Like, I genuinely hate it. Yeah.
I did want to touch sort of, I guess, on Alex, because even though Alex goes out swinging, I agree it's how he did it that didn't work so well. He'll probably be one of those people that will be remembered. His legacy, if Kirby does get taken out before the end, will live on for very long, because, like I said, game changer in the sense that suddenly everybody's aware of Kirby from what we can see in the edit, and everybody targets her after this game. He lives rent-free in their minds for at least 2 more episodes this week. They keep referencing Alex calling out Kirby and how big of a threat she is in the game. So clearly he had an impact in the game. Now, the second person here that we lose this week is Ree. Talk to me, Tom. Where did it go wrong for Ree? Was Alex ultimately to blame? Could Ree have played the game differently at any stage? For me, it looks like a classic case of not managing your threat level when it comes to the challenges with Ree.
Yeah, look, actually, I kind of wanted Rhea to stay. I really liked Rhea, which is interesting considering she wasn't really given a personality on the show. Like, they didn't really show her personality very much. But yeah, like, don't look that good in the endurance challenges, and especially when you're not a threat, like, for most of it. Like, she wouldn't. The only thing she had going for her threat-wise was Kirby's right-hand woman and great at challenges. Literally, that's literally it. Oh, and also she might accidentally get you voted out by voting for the wrong person. But like, like nothing else. So yeah, I think, and also the thing is, I feel like yeah, like she obviously looks like a fit person, but she doesn't look like someone where I'd go, oh my gosh, this person like is just instantly going to win every single challenge. Like she could definitely perform like poorly and give the impression that she's not a challenge threat and then win out at the end, It's like
she was so comfortable with easily winning as well, eh? It wasn't even close on those endurance challenges.
Do you see why I want to get the fit female players out of the game at the start of merge or before merge? Oh, it's almost like Tom's strategies are genius. Thank you very much.
The meta, you almost said the meta strategy to the game. Take out the fit females that could do well in the endurance challenges. But, now that it's common knowledge, Tom, that is your strategy, if any of our podcast listeners just so happen to be a fit young female playing the game, which probably they're not listening to our podcast, let's be honest, they're going to be targeting Tom.
I thought about this,
Likelihood percentages.
Attractive women, Survivor? Nah.
Podcast?
No, I kid, of course, obviously we have Mucky's number one love, Eileen. She's watched the show multiple times, and
So if she's in the fans versus favorite season against you, you're toast, mate, because you've told her your strategy straight up.
Bro, I'll be like, look, I'm Mucky's best man. We have to work together, otherwise he's not going to be happy.
Even Gabe has to agree with you. He says, I hate that Tom's strategy is correct stats-wise.
I have so many strategies that have never. I mean, that one, I guess people have targeted like the fit women, but more in a Parvati kind of way instead of like a challenge piece kind of way. But I've got so many strategies that never before done, and they might be mentioned in my audition tape. But I still haven't figured out what I'm going to say because
okay.
3 minutes isn't enough time for me to talk, as you all know.
Well, all I got to say is, can we please just go back to the fact that Tom just said that the only woman Tom liked on this cast was one with 0 personality, so Tom doesn't like women with personality.
If their personality is too strong and they don't know their place, Tom is just not for that. Like any strong female.
I didn't say anything bad about Valeria, did I?
No, it was on me, I think.
No, I feel like you called Valeria your winner pick at one stage.
Yeah.
Worse, man. It always makes it worse, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Well, the hot model one is the one that you're okay with.
I liked Kitty as well. Thank you very much. I didn't voice it, but I liked Kitty. Let's see who else is there. I'm trying to think of the. I liked. Oh no, she's attractive too.
All of them are attractive. That's why they got onto Survivor, man. Like, let's be honest. Like, they don't cast necessarily normal people to go play Survivor. But yeah, let's talk a little bit. I guess, like I said, the revote was very straightforward. Kirby wins the immunity. So I felt like this was probably, there's always a slower episode in a week. This was probably the slower episode with Kirby stepping up, winning the immunity, in this case, which means that the target shifts sort of towards Rhea in this moment. There was one interesting scene with Kirby up in the middle of the night at 3 a.m. She can't sleep. Her mind's racing. She's thinking about the game. How does she get out of the spot? Which definitely reminded me of Tony Vlachos. That's where I was, because I haven't seen it, and I still don't know if you can compare anybody to Tony, really, but I can see where there's elements of her game that definitely does reflect the king, in the sense that she's up, she's trying to make it work. Feras is up as well. And this is where she does a bit of work with him, gaslighting him up a bit. Hey, I want to sit next to the best. You would be that person, to try and see if she can at least get another angle. But she's also trying to save Rhea in this moment. And again, hats off. This is a moment that Feras can, I guess, talk to. I don't know about the Charles vote. I don't see it because the edit didn't show us how close Charles and Kirby was. But taking out Rhea, definitely, Kahuna, weakened, Kirby dramatically going into the final weeks here of the show. And like you said, Rhea's between him and Kirby, and he wanted her to have less options in the game. So masterful move by Feras, at least at this point. We have to give him credit. We have to give him credit that he was in on Raymond's vote as well. But I would say this was probably the biggest move that he's had so far against a very powerful player in the game.
Yeah, I think some of the moves in the past, like the Raymond thing, isn't necessarily the move, but the way he played a part and supported and like you said, best supporting actor, but he played a part in that. This is something that he can put his name on and something that he's been wanting for so long, ever since Garrick. You know that he wanted to take, and then Eileen, and you know he's wanted to get revenge on Kirby. But the reason why it's so powerful is not just that it plays into the narrative of Feras going, I got what I wanted from ages ago, but you're right, it completely weakens Kirby, not from the fact that she doesn't have a right hand. She doesn't have a second vote automatically. But I didn't even think about it before. But what you said tonight is that Kirby had Rhee as her automatic challenge winner. She was going to be her final 3, win that endurance challenge, stand up there for 6 hours, look comfortable doing it, and then take Kirby to the end. And the fact that that's gone is the bigger impact rather than having a number, having a vote, having a thing, but having that challenge protection, that automatic immunity from at the end potentially is huge. And you're right, Feras taking that out not only takes out the biggest challenge threat, takes out Kirby's challenge threat, and potentially now I think maybe with Mark depending moves Feras up the ladder of challenge threat as well. He's seen that final 3 challenge on the horizon. He looks at Caroline, he looks at Raymond. I think he's going, if Rhee's gone, if I take out Kirby next, I'm now in the driver's seat as far as challenges go. Like as long as it's not swimming, Mark's got that down. But you know, he's got a much better shot with them 2 out of the mix, and Rhee going first makes it even better for him. So huge move from Feras.
Shout out to the editors for having that scene with Mark in the previous episode where he was swimming underneath everybody's legs and stuff, and they've got like the dolphin sound in the background while Caroline is plotting on the sideline on how to take this guy out. He's just out there having fun, and Caroline's got her knives ready. She's like, I got to take out Mark. He's my biggest, enemy in the game. It's been so difficult to follow who's aligned with who, because then she wants him out. It's going to be her big resume move. Then, no, I'm going to save him and have an even bigger move. And they go back and forth so many times. It's actually quite hard to follow. But I thought about it this week. It's actually quite fascinating, Tom, that 3 of the mid-age Mafia actually made it to the final 6. Who would have thought that after the middle-aged Mafia took out Viola? I thought they would implode if they didn't, when they got to the merge. I don't even think they would get to the final 6. How did this happen? Like, how does this make sense in the season that this group of people, that kind of worked together, then they betrayed each other, still found a way somehow to get to the final 6? Make it make sense.
I just want to say first off that I don't know if anyone noticed before, but I was counting. Oh, see. What can I say? I told you he likes me. Anyway,
and I've got the hair tonight, and you're back in the alliance.
Yeah. Well,
Feras Kuna's very disappointed. He's imitating you today. He's got the hair
out, right? Tom was out. I was never out. I was still in from last week, I think.
I feel like what's happening, Kuna, is that Feras is beard shaming you because you can't grow a beard. It's not close enough, and that's why you're not on the alliance. I feel like he's having shade at you for not having a beard, mate.
One of Ferris's greatest moves is obviously what he did with Rihanna, but his beard game is on point as well. My wife does not watch Survivor. She hates Survivor. It doesn't hate it, but she kind of puts up with it and kind of listens in the background while I watch. And she's just like, what is with his beard? Like, it's the only thing she's literally commented on the entire thing is that it's so magnificent and like perfect. Like Mark's looking a little bit scraggly. Alex is looking all like a bit scraggly, but Ferris's beard is just full. And like, does he have someone doing his lineup out there? Like, I don't understand how he's getting the...
I feel like Feras is getting the Prince treatment. He had his barber on standby on the island.
He's getting lineups
because I don't know how it's looking that impressive. I'm not even attracted to men, but Ferris's beard, man, I have to look twice. I'm like, geez, this guy could be like a beard model or something if there was a job like that,
All right, Chris, let's look up. I'm in his alliance. Me and Kahuna are in the alliance. You're not, okay? Just calm down.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm just being real. I'm just being honest. Kirby for life. I'm Team Kirby, so I understand why he doesn't like me.
I think it's actually made of plastic, if I'm being perfectly honest.
Play-Doh.
Oh, jeez.
It's not even real. It's plastic.
Well, there you go. Well, Feras said, Kona, I thought I was on the podcast for a second. I kind of forgot what we were talking about. Tom, we spoke about the middle-aged Mafia and how they got to the final 6. Like, how insane is it that this alliance found a way to somehow get there?
Yeah, and then I was gonna change the subject to something more interesting, in my opinion. I was just gonna say, I don't know if you noticed before, that I was counting on my fingers, and I was trying to count all the female players to see which ones I really liked and which ones I don't, and which ones I was like met on. And I want you to guess.
You just keep digging.
Oh no! I want you to guess the 2 females that I forgot existed. Like I got to 10
on
and
the
I'm like,
season.
Yeah, on the season. I'm like, who's left? I got to 10 and I forgot. Yeah,
Sarah.
All right, you can chuck them in the comments, people. Just
yeah. I feel like he would have forgotten Peter.
Peter, yeah.
I feel like he would have forgotten her, and maybe Kelly for some other reason. I feel like Kelly, just because it's not obvious.
I think it's Sarah, and I think it's oh, piss off, Jonathan.
Because in Mucky's mind, who could forget Eileen?
Mucky's like, impossible.
All right,
I reckon it's Sarah and Viola.
Okay, do you want to know the answers?
Tell me.
Yes.
It was actually Eileen and Kelly.
No!
Oh, shit.
The girlfriend and the mother of Mucky, I just like...
Both forgettable characters. I understand Tom completely.
Honestly. And I was like, oh yeah, Kelly.
Kelly's so forgettable, isn't she? Just a complete unforgettable character.
Don't ask me how. Yeah.
Completely forgettable character.
Tom was going to be my best man. But never mind.
I feel like Tom knew that you were thinking about making him the best man, so he did this on purpose to get out of being the best man. So he's like a couple of steps ahead, like Kirby's been this whole season. Tom's been thinking about the moves. Tom, you don't have to confirm or deny, mate.
Sorry, Mucky, I'm Ferris's now. I belong to him.
Listen, let's talk a little bit about this last episode and the idol hunt. We see Kirby going out looking for an idol. We see Feras walking out. That they're thinking, okay, let's make sure that she doesn't get this idol. Feras is out behind her to go and have probably a strat chat and help her maybe to a certain degree, because I feel like Feras is very much playing in the middle ground here where he could go either way. And then ultimately, Mucky, out of nowhere, Caroline finds the idol. Like, what's the chances that Caroline, of all people, she's the one who goes out there and finds the idol? And once again, like we all know, everybody's sitting at home saying, rigged! The show's rigged. They clearly planted the idol there for Caroline to find it, right? Because she's the character that everybody is shouting for this season. Everybody wants Caroline to win the season, and she's the one who gets the idol here in this moment, right?
I mean, wasn't there that one article last year where production apparently said, hey, George, come down this path, and that's how we found the idol? It's obviously rigged with the idols, right? No, it's so stupid, this whole rigged comment. I know I've gone on a lot of rants on this podcast about the whole rigged comment and stuff. I think it's just absolutely stupid. I think if the producers could have their way, Kirby finds the idol, right? Or Feras finds the idol. But I'm actually really stoked that Caroline found the idol, because I feel like it made the episode more interesting. And I think if Caroline had kept the idol as well, it could have made the final 5 vote next week
really
interesting as well. But yeah.
It's crazy that they still have the idol working until a final 5 in Australian Survivor, where there potentially could be a final 3. So there's only potentially, there's basically, you get yourself to the last round if there is a final 3 by being in the final 4 by playing an idol. So it's actually so powerful. So the more I think about it, the real move would have been to keep that idol at least for another round. Andrea Lee coming in with the big $10. Thank you so much, Andrea Lee, saying out of all the TNT main hosts and co-hosts that has been on this channel, I'm voting for TNT co-host Tom to go on Survivor first, because in his returning Survivor season, he shall be in a tribe with none other than Noanka, Abby Maria, Daytia, Kareen, Debbie Warner, Alicia, Soda, and Rogue. I feel like that would be the season we all deserve to watch. I love how your smile kind of disappeared a little bit there when you heard all those names.
I'm not gonna... I read when I read the message, I was like, I was a little emotional, and I was trying to I didn't actually clock on that second part was attached to the main message. He said with, and then there was an emoji, and I couldn't see what the emoji was. I'm like, I'm so confused, but thank you. But then I was like, oh, what's all these random female Survivor players' names here for? That makes sense. Okay, yeah, I love that. I love Naonka. Jatir was a fun character, you know, like Corinne. Oh, could you imagine me and Corinne talking about people?
It would be pretty good. I reckon I can see a little bit of Randy in you, actually, Tom. I feel like you've got a bit of Randy in you.
Thank you. You know, yeah, I think so. No, not really. I'm more of a Kenny, you know, Super Smash Bros. Champion over here.
There we go. Super Smash Bros. Well, yeah, Andrew Lee, totally agree. I think it would be a good season to see him on. Andrew Lee says, Alex not letting the ladies use the shower first and displaying typical male rejection traits. Therefore, I am nominating Alex for next season of The Bachelorette AU. Hint, Luke P season 15 US.
I would love that. Like, I don't watch
The Bachelorette, not as The Bachelor, like Lockie.
Yeah.
He doesn't get his own show. He's just one of the 30 or one of the 20 or whatever it is.
All I gotta say is I don't swing that way, but if Alex was almost about to cut off his nipple and is talking to me about strategy, I'd fall for it. I personally...
I knew you'd like something like
it's just the danger of it. It's like, oh, I like when there's a bit of danger.
Are you into knife play, Mucky?
Listen, we're trading, boys. We're trading right now. But no, 100%. Gabe says, if Chris makes it on Australian Survivor season, I hope it's fans versus favorites. Gabe, why are you doing this to me? It's like, I've always said it so many times. I feel like if they ever were to cast me on Survivor, because fans versus favorites is my least favorite theme, I feel like that's the theme I'll end up being on. But I guess being on Survivor is better than not being on Survivor at all. So I've kind of made peace with the fact that if I had to go play Survivor, you know, and it's a fans versus favorite season, I would do it. You know, I would do it.
To be fair, though, if there was a fans versus favorite season, that'd be both of your best shot of getting on. As far as fans go, like dedicated podcasters is right up there with what Eden talks about and stuff, you know.
I mean, the analysis that we do, the deep thought that goes into each one of these podcasts, you know, why would we not be on a season like that, Tom? I mean, we're professionals, you know, when it comes to podcasting now.
Yeah. I mean,
we even got the mics, both of us with the Shure SMB7 mics, you know?
Yeah.
It's the Joe Rogan mic.
And I've got this mic. Is that why you got that mic? Ew, yuck. No, I've got this. I'm a professional musician.
It's every podcaster mic.
No, yeah.
What do you mean, yuck?
Well, just Joe Rogan, you know. Also, what Mark's saying there.
Why did I let him on the podcast? I'm a big Joe Rogan fan. I've got no problems with him.
I don't actually really know much about him, to be honest. I don't know.
That makes sense. That's why you took shots at someone like Joe Rogan, because you probably haven't listened to any of his podcasts.
I love taking shots at people I don't know. It's great.
Yeah.
I'm in a love-hate relationship with Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
I
understand that. Most people are.
I like a lot about him, and then he just goes the opposite end on some stuff. I'm like, whoa, bring it back, Joe. Settle down.
That's why I love him, is because he's not afraid to upset both sides of the spectrum when it comes to our culture. You know, I like it when they have conversation. Yeah,
because he's just
because he
says whatever he wants.
No, I feel like he just speaks to people and actually has conversations, which a lot of people don't have these days. Mark says, I want to hear about your strategies for casting call that just came out. Is it smart to talk about strategies on a podcast? Like, is it, like, Mark, you're the professional. We should be hitting you up for strategies. If we did tell everybody about our strategies, would it work? I feel like if we spoke about it, we'd have less of a shot of actually getting on the show, Mark.
You know what? Since I'm such a brave man, I'm going to say one of my strategies, you know?
Because you've got so many.
Let me just let's get ready for this one here. You've got center stage. Tell the Australian Survivor production team, casting team, why should Tom be on season? Next season? Yeah,
they're sharing links.
This is your moment.
Okay, so I've just pressed record. Beep. Please get me on the season. Please. I really want to be on. I don't want to do this podcast again. Please. I know I'm not.
Get him on the show. Get him on the show.
Thank you.
Get him on the show.
What do you think, Mark?
The fans, I think, get him on the show because of you know, Tom gets on the show, the amount of, you know, fans that will join this podcast casting team will be off the charts because he won't be on the season bashing strong independent females the whole season. So we will open our audience up to a whole new spectrum of fans that would now feel that this is a safe place where they can come and listen to great strategic analysis, because Tom will no longer be here. He would now be your problem on the season with his problematic views.
But Chris, then instead of sledging all the female players on the podcast, I'd be doing it in the season instead.
In person.
I think that's worse.
Face to face sledging is way better.
Tom's opening confessional is going to be the exact same as Zach's. He's like, if there's a challenge about strength, girl, no chance. But if there's a dishwashing challenge, yeah, I might be in trouble. That's going to be Tom's opening confessional, the exact same as Zach's. It's going to be the exact same. I'm telling
Classic. There you go, Tom, for the second coming of Zach on the season, which means he will be
as buff as him. I'm just as buff.
If you blink fast, you wouldn't be able to see the difference between Tom and Zach on the season.
Cool. I mean,
mortal enemy.
Yeah, that'd be great. I can finally see what it looks like. I wonder if he actually is just like a human Pikachu. It's just like it's just Pikachu on the thing wearing the cap. That'd be really interesting.
Yeah. Okay, let's think about this. Is there anything that we haven't discussed yet? I feel like we've spoken about all of the big moments here. I think lastly, probably let's go around the table, talk about who do we think is best place to actually win this show. And I'm going to start it off this time with Mucky. Mucky, who is the person that you think right now is in the best season to win the show? And why is it Rogue? I'm just joking.
I should have made a theme song for Rogue.
It's always Rogue.
Well, yeah, it's always Rogue. It's like the song is always you.
As I said, Charles, get out of my head. Get out of my head. He brings up Rogue as well. I feel like Tom would be like Rogue's brother on the season.
This is before your time, but for a parody song, Madonna had a massive song called Vogue. Just saying.
Maybe I should make a parody song called
Rogue.
Go.
You found your niche, mate. You found your niche.
Well, simply just so as we all know, my winning picks are always the first one voted out the week. So I decide I'm going to curse this player because he's been giving me shit all season long. So I'm going to say it's Mark. All right, I'm going to give it to Mark. He's always making fun of me. He's always making fun of me for my crush with Eileen. So I'm going to curse him to be. Which, by the way, actually, I will sing his praises as I give him the curse. He broke the Isuzu DD Max curse on Australian Survivor.
There you go.
Danny won at Brains versus Brawn. She's sixth
It's because
place.
you didn't get a D-Max. It wasn't a D-Max.
It was a D-Max.
It wasn't a D-Max.
It wasn't the truck. It wasn't the truck. It was the SUV.
It was
what
the enclosed D-Max. It was the D-Max with the roof on the back.
All cars are the same, like walking makes you a real man. But anyways, so Danny won it. She's out sixth place. Jordy won it. He's out sixth place. Simon won it. He's out sixth place. And Marcus Fisher made it to the final five. So, yeah. So while I give him his praises, I'm giving him the kiss of death. That's all I got to say.
Fair enough. There you go. So Mark is going to be Mucky's nomination to win this season. I've enjoyed Mark. I feel like Mark is someone who's got a brain for the show. He's a strategist. Yeah. Like Kuna said earlier, clearly one of the biggest problems that he's probably had this season is the unpredictability of it and how people have moved in the game. It's not been an easy season to read, which in my mind, why if somebody gets to the end and they win this season, you're going to have to give them a lot of credit that they've been able to navigate such a fluid season where people are changing strategic allegiances throughout the season. But I'm a big fan of Mark, and Mark's a great fan of the podcast. So always love hearing people that are in the podcast. They're here, they're talking to us, give them a shout out. So, mad props there. I don't know if I see it though for him winning this season. I just don't think the edit backs that. So he wouldn't be my nomination. At this stage, I have to stay on Kirby. I feel like Kirby, this is what I think is going to happen. And if Feras takes Kirby out, mad props, because Kirby, probably at the moment, the way I see it, Kirby's number one, Feras is number two. Feras needs to take Kirby out before the end game. If he doesn't make that move and he sits next to her in the end, I feel like Kirby's got a game that she would be able to articulate to the jury. She's got a resume that they're going to look at it and say, Feras, you were good, but Kirby was that couple of steps ahead throughout the season. Now, if Feras takes out Kirby, he suddenly becomes top dog by quite a lot if he can make that move happen. So until she's out, I feel like Kirby is still my number one. The only issue that I see for Kirby's game at this stage is that if someone, if she doesn't win an immunity challenge and they finally put it together and they're like, we need to take her out before the end, she's in danger. So she has to win her way to the end. There's either one or two things that are going to happen. She's either going to win her way to the end, or she is going to snow Feras into taking her by saying that she wants to sit next to the best, and he's going to believe in that. And that could be the downfall of him in the end. So for now, I'm still on Kirby. I'd be happy to be wrong. Maybe not. Like, either way, we get a Kirby win, we get a Feras win at this stage. I feel like this is going to be a top season that we're going to remember for a very long time. But in my mind, those two are streets ahead of the rest currently. Tom, thoughts on who is going to win the season? You came into this podcast saying that Feras is a cutie. Do you still feel like Feras is a cutie now that we're through this whole podcast? We've analyzed, we've spoken about all the possibilities. Do you still think he's going to be $500,000 richer by the end of this?
It's really tough. I wish both Mark and Feras weren't such big supporters of the podcast, because I feel like I'm cheating on one of them. If
It is tough.
Yeah, it is. And, I think I don't even know who I really want to win. Like, Alex. Oh, no, I want Raymond to win. That's right. Yeah. Raymond's the only person left that I want to win, like, a lot.
Exact opposite. Basically, the exact opposite there to what Gabe is saying, right? Like, if Gabe wants Raymond, or saying Raymond is the least likely to win, your rival Gabe is saying Raymond is least likely to win this. You're going to say he's the most likely to win. I
think I found my answer. I support a man who encourages me to cheat. So I say,
did Mark just reverse
Mark
psychology?
Baby. Yeah, Mark Baby. Check out my new name, my new nickname.
Okay. We're going to see
Yeah.
now. Mark Baby.
I
Out of the alliance with Feras.
Yeah, Feras, where are you?
Bald
Feras
man
only
squad.
drops in. He only drops in when it's the most opportune time, when Tom's on his best behavior. But as soon as he turns his back, he doesn't realize. Tom is like all of these rest of the cast people that have played this season. All the castmates out there have been gunning for Feras. They've been trying to backstab Feras this whole season. They've been trying to backstab him, and Tom is no different. As soon as Feras looks away, he's like, I don't have your back, Feras. I'm very disappointed by this. I'm
like Dr. Evil. You can't trust me. As soon as you turn your back, I'm like, just
we'll have to clip this.
Yeah.
We'll have to clip this so that we can show Feras your true colors, because I don't feel good about the fact that you're stabbing him in the back when he's not in the live here. I would never do that. I'm a straight shooter, Feras. Kahuna and I, we've got your back. Okay.
We've had available as Jaden's.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Listen, Mucky can't control himself right now. He's fangirling, because we've got someone here in the live for $1 Million Island.
The vault.
He's the legend of $1 Million Island. No screen
just say
time,
something?
but he ran our podcast.
Mucky, listen.
Yes.
I've never seen you light up like this for Aileen. What's going on here?
It's the vault.
If you're really such a big fan of the Vault, why didn't you make a Vault song? You made an Aileen song, but you didn't make a Vault song.
Don't encourage him.
Sure.
The only words we got out of the Vault on the show was him saying his own name. All right.
Yeah, but it's important.
Mucky knows the rumors about what Vault did out on the island with the women there, and
let's not get into that.
He wants to be involved.
We already have Channel 9 upset with this podcast due to that.
Please,
we don't want to get Channel 10 upset with us as well.
I forgot about the kid. That's so good.
Voltonator said he was in his DMs privately singing to him. And listen, I know the feeling, Voltonator. I get those DMs from Mucky all the time as well. It's easy.
I hate to cheat on Eileen, but I've seen the Vault more voice messages than Eileen.
Yeah, the Vault was the player out on $1 Million Island. The Vault was the player out on $1 Million Island. Mucky is the real player in real life. Like, this is what he does. He slips into many people's DMs. Aileen thought she was special with the song. Apparently he sings to everyone. It's just not always on the live.
But that makes it more special, right? I hate to cheat on the Vault to go back to Eileen, but it was a yes. We do need. I will gladly play Survival with you, Vault. But we may just need to hide from the producers.
All right. Right. Completely sidetracked here. So we've got so far we've got Mark, and then Kirby. Kahuna, who do you have as the person most likely to win at this point? Bring some I don't know, common sense back to the podcast.
I'm picking the hair gang, Aquaman himself, the Arabian Prince. Feras is in the best spot. He's got 5. He's down to 5. He's got an idol in his pocket. He's got Kirby as the threat ahead of him. He's got 3-2 Rebels Titans. He's got Raymond as his buddy. I think Feras is in a good spot. And he's probably, as I said, endurance-wise, of the 5 left, he's right up there. It's gotta be him and Mark, I think, in any kind of final endurance challenge and all that sort of thing. In some of these skill-based ones, like we've seen the last 2 that Kirby did, she's obviously phenomenal at that. And Feras gets super frustrated, which is one of my funniest things ever, because I'm him. Like, if my hair's him, I'm him in those challenges. When I, like, remember the American one? I forget his name last season, the Boston guy.
Jake.
He stomped on it. Jake. He broke the challenge and just stomped all over it because he was so angry. I thought Feras was going to do the same thing, picking his legs up through the thing. But he's got a chance at challenges. He's got a resume once if he can turn on Kirby. And he said multiple times, people have commented here that he knows. He's actually said it's suicide to sit next to Kirby. So if he's aware of that, he's got an island in his pocket. He's got 5 left. Feras is sitting good for me at the moment. He's got numbers. I think Feras is in the driver's seat.
If Feras takes out Kirby, hats off to him. One of the biggest plays ever in Survivor, and the awareness to make that move. Like, I'm just worried because Kirby has been snowing everybody for most of the season, and it feels like the editor's showing us that he's playing into it a little bit in the last couple of episodes. But they could all be setting up Kirby's downfall for us all, and it would be, again, like I said, I would take no pleasure in it because there's so many great players and characters still left in this season that I would love to see win this season. But it would be pretty poetic to see him finally take her out after he's been a couple of steps behind for most of the season. She's turned her back on him very early on. She's put him in a corner where he has been forced to work with her. And then somehow he's now made her dependent on him. And the roles have kind of reversed a little bit for him to ultimately take the move here and then. It would just be poetic to see play out on our screen. So I do think that there is a definite chance of that. Brendan saying, I have to now block Mucky again for his sing-along DMs. Brendan, it's always risky to leave Mucky unblocked on any kind of social media platform. So, you do that at your own risk. Charles is saying, be so for real. Caroline is winning. Charles is all in on Caroline almost as much as he was all in on George last season. I feel like George should be jealous, Charles, of this love that you have for Caroline this season. Gabe is saying, I will be happy if Caroline wins to see Tom's reaction. Won't we all be happy if that happened? But I unfortunately can't see that happening. And then Charles was saying it would be like Liz beating George. Yeah, it would be a very WTF moment if that did happen. But that is it here this week for the show. It's been great having everybody here in the live. We've talked about all the action. Please be sure jump
quick
in
shout
next
out.
week.
Sorry, one quick plug. Mucky is a crazy man. Last month we did a podcast on my channel where we talked about Bigfoot, and he tried to convince me they were real. He failed miserably. This Saturday night at 10 p.m. Sydney time, midnight New Zealand time, he's going to teach me about Wendigo and skinwalkers. Some weird conversations for you Saturday night. Not Survivor related at all, but I'm hoping to survive the conversation with Mucky on Saturday night. So check out Kahuna Vision channel. We'll put links or something. I don't know.
If you don't have enough, if you haven't had enough of Mucky and Kahuna, go check that out on the weekend as well. But for now, like I said, please consider subscribing to this channel to make sure that we continue to grow this platform so that we can reach more and more players in the future to potentially come on to the show. There's been a few players that have spoken about potentially coming on and having a chat with all of us after the season. We're looking forward to it. But the more people we have following us, the more credibility we get to do more fun stuff with Channel 10 and other channels around the world, because we also cover on the channel Survivor US, we cover the challenge. We have in the past also covered the Amazing Race. So the more people that follow, the more that we can make this a full-time gig where all of us get involved in this and we can grow our team, the more shows we can cover and have some fun in the future. But thank you everybody for now. We will catch you guys next week when we talk about the final, I believe it's the final week of Australian Survivor. It's come so quickly.
Crazy.
So we will be crowning a winner on our next live. So we may even have a winner in our live chatting with us when we cover this, which would be pretty crazy. We've never had a winner of the show actually in our lives, but if Feras wins, if Mark wins, any of the players that have been in our life all this season, we potentially could have them here as it's happening and as we're discussing it. So for now, grab your torches, head back to camp, and we'll catch you guys next time. Bye.